Hey guys, you missed it. I was just telling Eric my concession stand story from varsity football where someone took my slice of pizza. And I'm not going to get as vulgar as I did with Eric, but basically made a transaction, paid for the pizza. The pizza was sitting there, put my money away, and the person working the concession stand took my pizza and gave it away. And it was the last piece. What do you do? What do you do? I wasn't very happy, and I should have been more patient, but I wasn't very patient. The transaction was made, but that's the. I guess you have to be more aggressive when you're at the concession stand on a Friday night in Western Pennsylvania. And I hope the Mountaineers and you guys are more aggressive when you're getting your pepperoni roll on. Eric, it's Monday night. It's week one. Are you excited?
Man, I am so excited. It's game week, man. And that's all I've been hearing. Down here
Yeah.
in Morgantown, that's all everybody's talking about.
Yeah, Eric. It was literally like 4 hours ago. I was picking my kid up from practice, and he's like, Dad, I'm playing Saturday, not Friday. Like, wait a second. So I'm not going to the West Virginia game because last year I went to the game, the Penn State game, and I hustled back at like halftime, and just hustled back up, made it to this game. There's a shortage of refs in Western Pennsylvania, so they stagger some of these games. Um, I just can't do it this year because he's playing a lot of ball, playing both sides. But that's just the sacrifices we make. But football is here. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff, which is probably one of the best times to have to start the season because 12 o'clock just seems like you just don't get enough tailgating in, right?
hmm Oh yeah.
You
And this is
know,
the first one. So this is the first time, since last season that people are getting together, and especially with the idea that Rich is back. A lot of people are going to be nostalgic about everything. They're going to want that extra time around the hibachi, and
yeah.
maybe warming up the pepperoni rolls.
Right.
The extra 2 hours will help.
And they're going to get a little bit of tennis elbow, and they're going to think it's 2005. Their 50 or 40 or 60-year-old body is going to think it's 2004, 2005. And I think that muscle memory, they're going to realize on Sunday it's not. But I hope that the results don't think it's 2004. I think they hope that the results are the same as 2004. I hope we don't have to wait 3 years for things to pick up. You were just so articulate in your response when I texted you literally 3 minutes before we went live on what we might talk about. Man, you are spot on today. So, you know, expectations versus reality and the way college football is. Iowa State, Kansas State, that is literally, if you could just condense the Big 12 season into one football game, that was it this past weekend. You go to
100%, man.
Iowa,
100%.
that's it. That's what you're going to see. And you might even see a fight at the end. What do you think, Eric? Did you watch any of those games at all?
I was busy this weekend, but I took in the highlights, and I completely agree with you. That game was a microcosm of the Big 12. So competitive. It was not decided till late in the game. A lot of I used this word last time, but this league has so much parity.
Yeah.
You're going to have like your upper level that is going to contest of maybe four teams, and then you're going to have a whole host of people in that middle just going to be an all out scrap, and then you're going to have a few people in the basement. And that game that you mentioned there, Iowa State and K State, that's exactly what that's going to be like. And K State's always so. I mean, K State just inherently is a scrappy team.
Yeah, they're gritty and they always have a decent offense. I think I've actually had the I've had a chance to watch a game in Manhattan, Kansas, and all their buildings are built out of like a nice light limestone. It's very very pretty, uh, flat as a pancake, but not like what we're used to out here. But it's similar vibe, a good college vibe. certain places don't have that. You don't have that vibe at I don't feel that vibe in a lot of Big Ten schools. I
Mhm.
don't feel that vibe at Penn State. I don't feel that vibe at Michigan State. I feel that vibe in Manhattan, Kansas, in Eugene, Oregon, which is now a Big Ten school, in Oregon State, Corvallis. I feel that vibe. And, there's certain places I feel that, college football, Auburn, I feel that, down in Greenville and Clemson, you feel that college, that air. But guys, it's that. And I know you're in Morgantown right now. Are Kroger's cupcakes? Are they blue and gold? They've been walking
Well,
around with blue teeth.
I made sure I put on some gold just to give you the feel that we have down here. Everything is gold and blue down here right now. And of course, traffic is a mess because that seems to be another tradition we have here. I don't understand it, but I'm going to go with it. Uh, Everybody here is very excited, and the opponent, that is almost a secondary issue to most of the folks here. Everybody's excited to welcome in a new era. It seemed as though in the past few years, the buzz of the program had been lost, but people were coming because they loved the program, and the buzz is back. People are excited, and let alone just the buzz, the fact that Rich is back. This is a national story. People want to be part of it. People want to be here for the beginning. Um, it's going to be an exciting time period, and it begins this week.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on. And I think, I would not be I would not be surprised to see Rich Rod, with his little chemistry set out there shaking up the beakers. A little bit of this quarterback, a little bit of Jalen Henderson, a little bit of Scotty Fox,
Oh
uh,
yeah,
Nico. I think he's got to mix it up. I think the running back stable, you're going to see a lot of different guys. He's not going to play one kid and then another. I mean, they're going to get a couple reps, consecutively. Um, you just don't want those kids to go out there cold. But you're going to see over a period of these next two games before going into Pitt, he's going to see exactly what he has and get a feel for what guys. There's a reason there's been talk of Alabama coming off the schedule. Rich Rod's no dope. This is not. They say it's an SEC thing with scheduling. It probably is to a certain extent, but Rich Rod does not want Alabama on the schedule, right? Not when you're competing for, not for when you're trying to roll out the next couple of years. You're with NIL, you're trying to feel with what you have, for the next year. Let's just fast forward to a year from now or 2 years from now. This is not a one-off. Rich Rod has 90%, 72 of his players are new, fresh, right into the blue and gold. They've never been in a Mountaineer uniform. Now, even next year, let's say maybe it's 65. It's still going to be, he's going to have to every year reload and just reboot. And this isn't going to be just a one-off. I don't
yeah.
know.
Sorry, Shane, go ahead.
No, what do you think, Eric? Do you think that's just
I don't think I completely agree with your take there, but I don't think we're unique in that. I think all programs are facing the same problem. I don't know that it's a problem, but it's just the new era with the transfer portal. We look more and more like professional sports. It's going to be a very rare thing to keep a young player 4 years, 5 years. So Fiona, I love your optimism that you had her up there.
oh yeah.
Four quarterbacks would be great. I'd love to see that. I think we're going to see at least three. Um, the idea of Rich had mentioned he wants to play as many kids as he can. I agree. You want to, especially with like you're saying, you want to see some chemistry, see who can play together, see who the gamers are. Rich has mentioned that numerous times that you have kids who do good in practice, and Pat White was that kid that um, he did good in practice, but they put him in on game day, and he was a completely different animal. So I think the notion of these first few games, yeah, I think you're right on the money, buddy.
Yeah, it's definitely it flip the switch. I think that's the term. Flip the switch. Rich Rod was giving him a bunch of motivational enemas, hugs, and patting him on the back. I think he might have even had to put a little Lotrimin on his arm after that, a little Ben Game.
He's not used to that.
It doesn't work that muscle very often. And he said, I picked you guys to be here, and I'll pick you guys again. So a little bit of love. And that comes across a little better when they're not getting much of any of that love from August on. So if you were to coach this ball club here, who would be the quarterback you would start out with? Would you start out with Nico, or would you just, do like a preseason game? And I mean, real game. So
for me, it's hard for me not to start Nico, and it has nothing to do with last year.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with he's got years left. Jalen does not.
Mm-hmm.
So I would want to see what Nico could do, and if Nico could prove himself, okay. And of course Jalen, you want to cycle him in because Rich has already said he wants to keep fresh legs on the field, and I think that's a great idea. Both these guys, they've got the talent, they've got everything. I don't think you could lose either way. But Nico, to me personally, he's more of a known quantity. He's already got Big 12 wins. He's already shown that he is very cool-headed in tricky situations.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time not starting him.
Yeah, I agree. I'd have to agree. Nico is the horse to pull right now, and then kind of slide a couple guys in, get some snaps live, because they scrimmage. They bring in refs from the Big Ten or the ACC or wherever, and they pay them good money, put them up in a hotel, and have them go live and practice. But it's different going hat on hat against another team. And I'm not trying to sell Robert Morris short or give them just poo these guys. Same with Ohio. I mean, Pitt lost a couple years ago to an FBS school, and we definitely don't want that. And not that Robert Morris is in the weeds, but that would be terrible for the Big 12 and for West Virginia if West Virginia would lay an egg. Heck, even if they were to score 3 or 4 touchdowns, that would make a lot of Mountaineer fans just lose their cool. What would be the worst case scenario for you going into Pitt?
Realistically, I mean, of course, 0-2 is the worst.
Or 1-1.
But realistically, I mean, we mentioned it before and previously. Right. We mentioned that Iowa State got beat by this same Miami program or Ohio program.
Right.
They are no slouches. They've had 3 10-win seasons in a row, and we're playing them on their own. I mean, their fan base is just as excited for us to come visit them as we are for the ushering in for Rich Rod too.
You must.
So realistically, I think the worst case scenario would be that we don't have for Saturday. I want to see that we have some standout players. We don't need to show all our cards. We don't need to go crazy. But you see things where you have consistency. You have few penalties. You don't have any injuries. You see that we have people that we can plug and play in different positions. You want to see a defense that can shut down and just absolutely shut out. If we don't see those things, that's cause for concern. So if we don't win decisively against Robert Morris, that would be bad. And then if we lose in any way, shape, or form at Ohio, let's put it this way. We talked about right now what's going on in across the nation.
Right.
There's a lot of changes.
Yeah. You're setting yourself up because the brand itself is not where it once was. The brand was shiny, and it was West Virginia is a great product, and it's a great program. It makes money. It's been on the shelf. It's rusty. It hasn't been what it once was. 2012, it was still pretty. It was up there. since 2014, we're talking 10 years, it's been on the decline. With this realignment, like you were talking about, with this realignment, there's going to be a super conference. And you don't want to be like where West Virginia was, where they were left out of the seat of the SEC table, and Missouri was picked ahead of them. You don't want to be the last man or just that close to making it, because there's no getting back. There's no SMU buying your way in. You're either in or out when that super conference is made. And West Virginia has to make their hay now, and that's why they put all their chips bet black on Rich Rod.
So I'm going to take you back last year. I believe it was last year. We had the Coal Rush unis, and Iowa State. We had a matchup with them at night at home. We had a national audience, and you had the opportunity. Everything was set up for you. We win that game. Quite honestly, I don't know where we are today, but we'll get past that. But that was an opportunity missed. You don't get to miss too many times before they just leave you out of the conversation. Kirk Herbstreit is very big on WVU hiring Rich again. Of course, we have Pat Mack helping us out, putting out the good word. This is the year we've got to be relevant. We've got to show that we can win. I think the idea that you get 3 strong showings here, you will be back in conversations. You will start hearing people, saying things positive about us, and we will be relevant.
Yeah, the fact that Patty Mack brings up West Virginia, I don't know, maybe what did you say on average? What, 2-3 times a week?
That's where I was headed.
2-3 times a week. And I don't know, what does he talk to? Maybe 12 to 18 million people. I mean, he has the audience of what Howard Stern used to have, is what I read. Okay. He's that guy. And you have this guy who is in WWE, in the sports entertainment too, not wrestling, but he does, YouTube. And he's on ESPN on the game day. He's flying the flag, and not shy about his feelings. The fact that he supports Rich Rod, the fact that he supports the basketball coach, it's eyeballs on devices, and it's butts in seats. Now, the ticket sales are looking pretty good I check the ticket sales probably about once a week just to see if tickets are going for $2 or $5 or $8, there's some problems with your program. And there was a period last year where you could pick up a West Virginia ticket for the same price as a McDonald's, double cheeseburger meal. And that's sad. That's sad when you have to literally compete with the Big Mac. I mean, come on, guys. The Mountaineers are a little bit better product than two patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, right? But come on. That's what I do. And I'm looking and I see, and it's okay. There's some tickets available. They're selling at about what the cost of the ticket is. And as we're getting closer, they're creeping up a little bit, and the tickets are getting a little farther back, which I love it. I love it. If West Virginia wins a couple games, those Pitt tickets are going to be $200, $300 a crack. And talking about Pitt, I know we're way too early. What are your thoughts about us being dangerous? We're basically the Washington, D.C. to Pitt fans. You don't want to come in here. We'll have to bring the National Guard and around the stadium, make sure everything's safe. We're not dangerous, are we?
This is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe that statement was even made. I don't even know what the angle was in making statements like that. Because you want your fans to travel. You want the support for your team. Why in the world you would? The only thing I can think of is that he knows that their fans won't travel, and that's the way to cover. Is like, well, I told them not to come. It's dangerous down there. Bunch of hillbillies.
You're right. Eric is spot on. That was my thought. And my wife, who doesn't follow this stuff, she's like, they probably didn't sell enough tickets. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's it. That's exactly
Yeah.
what they didn't sell enough tickets. He's covering his ass. He wants to reverse the smoke, reverse the heat, put a little smoke out there, misdirection. And that's exactly what it is. Pat Narduzzi is a slippery shit. And that's exactly what he did. And that slippery shit, he's going to come into Morgantown and he's going to feel what he's going to feel. He's going to feel a lot more Mountaineer fans over in that little corner. You know, what is it? The section, was it section 100?
Yeah, I forget.
99, 98. Those are where they usually sell to the opposing team, that little corner. That's going to be all blue and gold. It's not going to be whatever color they are that week, because the freaking Pitt fans, what were they 10 years ago? They were like black and gold, and then they were navy and gold, and now they're the old Pitt blue and yellow.
Yeah, they're trying to go retro. Yeah.
They don't know what
the nostalgia uniforms. So
what? No, go ahead, Eric. Let's hear
it. So jumping ahead, like you said, to the Pitt game.
Yeah.
I think, you had asked what was the worst going into the Pitt game. What would be the worst? What do you think?
I think losing to Ohio, because you picked up on exactly what I was thinking. The fact that Ohio upset a team like that a few years ago gives me a case of the heebie-jeebies. The Ohio, it's a small little environment. They're gonna roll Robert Morris. They're gonna feel pretty good about themselves. I saw it with my kids' team. Halftime, they're up 2 touchdowns. Quarterback goes down. Second half, the other team starts punching back. Before you know it, 40 seconds left. It's tied, and then the other team scores and they win. It can get away from you. It can get away.
Yeah.
Ask, was it the 72 or what? Maybe 74. Bobby Bowden.
75. Richmond. Sorry, yeah.
I was thinking about Pitt. Bobby Bowden was beating Pitt, and then Pitt came back and beat them. Remember that? For my time. But I mean, I've heard about it, and it was one of those situations where they were on Fraternity Row. They had Bobby Bowden hanging in effigy, and Terry and his brother went up there and with a 2x4. And I heard this from General Broadwater. He saw it. They took a 2x4 up there, and they start just laying this lumber into a bunch of fraternity brothers to take it down. I would love to have one of the Bowden brothers on here to ask them about that. That's the first thing on my list. Did you smack any fraternity brothers with a 2x4? They would probably crap themselves. But they're so far, they've been retired for so long. I'm sure they would answer and get a kick out of it, right?
That would be a good question.
Let's go to the chat here real quick.
Perfect.
Pitt fans don't even show up at their home games. That's true. You know what? Sad state of it is, Pitt has such a terrible environment. Like it does. They don't have their own stadium, and I don't feel. I feel bad. I go to the VA on very rare occasion. I go to the VA, which is right on Highland Avenue or Highland. The Highland VA is right adjacent to Pitt. And if you have like appointments that are kind of one after another or something, you have some time, you could go like down there to where the student area is and you get some food. I go down there and watch, and it just kind of gets, then you have to take a bath after a shower because you feel kind of icky and itchy. Like I got bed bugs from looking at those creepy kids. But then you get back in there and it just doesn't have that feel. Like it doesn't have that Manhattan, Kansas feel or that Oregon State feel or LSU, or it doesn't feel like a real college. It doesn't, guys. And it's not the Pitt, West Virginia thing. It just doesn't have that feel for me. Yeah, you put me in Louisiana, you put me in even in East Lansing. I lived in Michigan for a while. I'd go to East Lansing. Beautiful college. I feel like I'm in a college town. You go to Indiana University of Pennsylvania, you feel like you're in a college town. Slippery Rock, where else? Glenville State, Fairmont State. You feel like you're in a college town. Don't feel like feel like you're in an office building. And there's just some kids walking around and maybe 2 of the kids will have Pitt stuff on, and the rest look like they came from a spaceship. I'm off the rails, guys. I'm so
You're
sorry.
getting unhinged, dude. But I'm with you. I mean, I'm right there with you.
So Fiona also says, what I want to see at the end of the season is the old attitude, whether you're up 41-10 or down 41-10. Yeah. Yeah, it's that smacking people. It's playing to the end of the whistle. It's the finishing your blocks. It's the running up to the line. It's running back to the huddle. It's that speed, that intensity. It's that I just want to see. I want to see that attitude, that bring your lunch pail. You know, the fact that you're going on vacation and you're taking garbage bags. That's the kind of attitude. I don't want, don't want Versace or Dolce Gabbana. I want trash bags. Okay? Because we're getting it done. We're fitting it all in the nooks and crannies. It's about efficiency, functionality, not about glam, not about glitz, not about glitter. It's about we're gonna just get it done and then move on to the next. And that's what Rich Rod, I swear, if he's not bringing it, I don't know what's going to happen to the Mountaineers.
I think the words you're looking for, hard edge.
Oh, hard edge?
Yeah. There you heard me.
That's a good.
I like that. And I think I think he's bringing it. Everybody remembers the pregame speech before the Georgia game, where he said, you buckle up the chin strap a little tighter. You put on a little extra tape, a little extra air in the helmet. He's bringing that intensity back. So, and one last thing to add, a couple of things to add about the Pitt atmosphere. First of all, the mascot, they got to get a new costume. That thing's looking old. It looks like maybe a little steam cleaning might be needed. It's looking pretty ugly. The other thing is
came from that convention, and it got some sticky stuff on it, and it also looks like it could have been in the Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's where I was going, man. That's exactly where I was going. It looks a little ratty. It could use some updating. You think that they would have a little bit of resources to do that, but whenever we play them up there, speaking of resources, we aren't afraid a little bit of a dangerous place. We put just as many fans in their stand as they have there in their home game. Fiona's killing it. She's right on the money.
No, I've been up. Last game I went to up there, it was like probably 55% Mountaineer fans.
Oh, there you go.
I wouldn't, and that's being, I'm being generous because I tell you what, it looked like a home field environment. A lot of Mountaineer fans.
Shane, do you mind if I throw you a curveball?
Shoot, hit away, throw away. I'll try to hit it.
All right, man. So borrowing from your rough experience at the concession stand, which, I mean, that's just enough to ruin your football game experience right there. But we don't want that to happen with our fans. Our fans here, our fan base here at WVU, Mountaineers to the end, we want to make sure that they enjoy this season. So the notion of setting expectations can be tricky. So we talked about everything is changing in the whole landscape of college football. With the advent of NIL, which is still settling down. I mean, we still haven't ironed all that out. The transfer portal, same way. I don't know how many fans realize just how much in the transfer portal, a small school like in Ohio, they can dial in if they have a unique system that they can have success with. They can look for players with certain attributes in the database that's available for transfer portal, and they can tune into who they want. And that's how you can get small schools like Ohio who normally couldn't find the talent because it was such an inefficient recruiting process. But now it's not that way. So there's a lot changing here. What do we think we want to do as far as managing expectations? And Fiona had said it earlier, the notion of what we wanted from this one game. But what do you think we do for the rest of the season?
Oh, well,
big question, man.
Yeah, penthouse dreams, outhouse budget. I mean, you have Texas Tech that has through $300 million at the problem just this year. where usually that's what our budget kind of rolls around the 200 million mark. Where you have the small schools, they might pull their money and once every 3 or 4 years make a big push and win their conference. I think that might be what West Virginia has to do is every few years pull their resources and say, Rich Rod will say, hey, I think I can get a good class here. Kitty up, give me another 100 million. We can do it. And you have some big donors say, okay, they look under the couch cushions. They come up with 50 more million here, 20 more million there, maybe 10 more million in the dryer. And they push that and he makes a run. That might happen. I mean, that Tampa Bay did that in baseball 15, 20 years ago. Okay. They just got a good baseball team together and did it. And you talk about Moneyball. That's what I'm going back to because that's what I'm trying to relate to. But I think programs can do that. What Texas Tech is doing, I've been reading. I think what their thought process is. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to do a hybrid system. They don't want to do it year to year. They want to, let's get a young guy. See, the SEC they're just mercenaries. They're straight up getting guys. It's like pulling SEALs in after they've been trained by the Navy, pulling Rangers in after they've been trained by the Army. And, there's some dev group guys. We're going to pull these. So they get all these guys after they've been trained. They're like, oh, you look like you can do this stuff. You're a 5-star or 4-star high school talent. We'll bring you in. We're going to pay you more than what you'd get here. And they sign him to a contract. Maybe you get him to the point where he can sign to a couple-year contract, and they develop them in combination with paying them more. And you can get the best of both worlds. Instead of just the pay-for-play, the gunslingers, you can develop these guys in a system where they play as a unit. Because we've seen this with USA basketball, with the European basketball. Guys that play together for a couple years with really good skill set, they might not have exactly what the athletes have for the USA. But because they played together and they have those critical skills and they have the great fundamentals, they were able to beat or compete with the USA team that had the uber athletes. Right. So I think that's the blend. I think teams like Texas Tech or Baylor or even University of Texas, I think those are the teams that could benefit from that because they have the pockets and they could literally develop if they have a coaching staff. That's what I would do if I had the pockets, like, hey, let's develop some of these players, not just, reload every year, because you can develop the culture and you can also develop the players because it's going to be a lost art. These guys that, like your Don Nealons, it could take guys after 2 or 3 years to make a run. I kind of went down a gosh darn rabbit hole there, but is that kind of what you were talking about?
There was no wrong answer. There was no wrong answer. It's a notion of, so I'll throw a couple of things. So that's a good question there. Why don't we answer that first? Who do you, I think Fox.
Yeah, Fox. He's been the Big 12 special teams guy for what, 2 years or 3 years. He's been the all Big 12.
Did he have it? I thought he had an average of like 22 yards a return last year. So
yeah.
You
had to hang it up, put the mic down, and then have the audience clap, and then come back out for a curtain call. I mean, that's basically what he did. He's like,
sure.
Like on.
You know what? I'd love to see Divine back there too. I like a small returner. They're hard to find with all that chaos going on. People miss them. They can't see them.
I would say Sincere. I think he has the quick twitch.
Yeah. Sure. We have so many. Preston Fox has he has great hands, but other than that, I mean, gosh, we probably have 4 or 5 guys that you could put out there. So I'll jump back to my answer for managing expectations. There's just so much going on this year, not just with our program. We talked about the college, the football landscape, and I'll leave that alone. But with our team, I mean, one thing I will comment on, Rich, and I think it's still true. Rich used to be very good about not showing his cards. He was very good about sizing up an opponent and saying, I know who we have and what we should be able to execute. And he would have I don't want to say it's a script, but he would have a pool of plays that this is what you're going to get, offense, defense. And if you can't beat this team with this set, it's on you. And he was willing to lose games to that extent, I think. And so the notion of Robert Morris, don't be surprised if you watch that game and the best outcome for that I could see is that you have some great plays happen, but after that play happens, you may not see it again the rest of that game. It may not happen. Don't be surprised if we go into Ohio with a strong game plan, but a simple game plan. Again, I don't look for him to, a lot of times when you face an opponent that maybe from a lesser conference, no disrespect to either Robert Morris or Ohio, but you try to out talent them. You try to win those games in the fourth quarter because you don't need to, go all out. So knowing that, to me, this is going to be like the 2005 season. For a lot of fans and me in particular, it's going to be a great season just to watch. Manage your expectations. Let's just wait and see what happens. Let's see how many players he plays. Let's see how many quarterbacks he switches to.
Yeah.
Let's see who the quarterback ends up. I think everyone agrees that Marchio seems to be the starter. Let's see if he's going to be the starter at the end of the season. Who's going to be, in a supporting role as a running back? I think everybody's expecting Jaheim to be the star player. Kind of hard to argue that. Who else is going to emerge? Great question on about who's going to return the kicks. So all these things are going to be great to watch and just see.
Yeah, I agree. Don't get hung up on who's where and what they're doing because that'll all come and you'll have your favorites by the end of the year. You'll be to buy that certain jersey. There'll be a number that you'll have, you'll be thinking about just like you have that number 5 jersey, that number 7, that number 1, number 10, or number 35. So when I say those numbers, instantly you guys know who I'm talking about. So I'm hoping that the defense has a good showing. Zach Alley has these guys shutting it down. I want to see some good defensive plays. I want to see some ball control. I want to see them moving the ball, controlling the ball. I don't want to see a lot of punts. I don't. It's going to be vanilla. It's going to be chocolate. It's not going to be a lot of crazy flavors. You are going to see a little sprinkles here and there, but not until hopefully Pitt. But if this team can hold teams under, let's just say 20 points, three scores, I think they're going to have a fighter's chance. You saw that Iowa State Kansas State game, and it was a slugfest. I mean, it looked like I was watching old Big Ten football with the 7-0, 7-7, just grinding, and that's not typical of the Big 12. So it's different. Go back 2012, 2014 when you had Texas, West Virginia. It was 40. Baylor, it was in the 45 to 46 or whatever it was. I mean, high scoring games. Will you have that with Rich Rod? You'll have a few of those, but you'll have a few low scoring games. Think back to those Rutgers West Virginia games, UConn West Virginia games, Louisville, Virginia. Then those were all high scoring, but the Connecticut and the Connecticut game, the Maryland games were always low scoring. Another low scoring game in there, mixed in there was another low scoring game. Virginia Tech was usually like in the 17-20 or something like that. Guys, it's going to be crazy. Let's see here. I'm tired of hearing Oliver Stroud, the punter from Australia. I want to see Sincere Bowers. I would love to see Sincere Bowers. He is such a quick twitch guy. I want to see someone actually get around the edge and run one to the house. We haven't seen that in a minute. And Jaheim White can do that, of course. Coop says,
Forget
Only
it.
fine to be low scoring. Others, yeah, exactly. So
You know, it has been a long time since we've seen breakaway speed. And I'm a fan of quick just as much as I am fast. The idea of getting fast in a hurry, I miss that. And
yeah,
so,
yeah, and I also miss seeing like fast after contact. So often you see guys get hit and they just kind of fall over, but getting hit, getting the shoulder down, and just maybe getting a little bit of burst of speed. That's something that seems to be a rarity. You saw that with a few folks in the past in West Virginia, and I think that Ty Edwards might have that. Jaheim White has that. I don't know who else in the backfield will have that, but if the Mountaineers can find a couple guys on third down that have that little get hit, but have that extra, like, you know, 4-wheel drive low. You know, you put your Crocs, you put that back in 4-wheel drive, kind of get a little extra traction in the sand.
sport mode,
Yeah,
yeah.
sport mode. I don't know, but I tell you what, might give him that extra horsepower. That gloss on the helmet, that little gloss on the your helmet might give that extra little you know. But
You know,
yeah,
speaking of gloss on the helmet, I think
yeah,
tonight we got to give sticker helmets, helmet stickers to Fiona and Coop, killing it on the commentary. I
doing a
completely
great.
agree with the stuff they're throwing out there.
Yeah, they're killing it. And then who else we have killing it? Caden Diesel Freak has. We haven't seen him in a minute. Curtis 316. It's been a minute for him too. But no, guys, I love to see you in the chat. So we do this show every Monday at 9. So on the bell is 9:05. I usually put this show out as a thumbnail in the morning. You know, I forgot to do it. I thought I had published it, but I didn't. I had to do it this afternoon. But we also do a Thursday show, which is a call-in show. So if you want to hop on, ask a question, I'll invite you into the chat. You can say, "Hey, what's up?" to Eric and me. But this Thursday we're going to have one, and you know what? It's going to be the first show, call-in show for week 1, and we're going to talk about Robert Morris. We're going to talk a little bit about who they have on their roster, and that's where I go talk like the Rock. It doesn't matter who they have. No, they're a bum. But I remember the Rock talking about West Virginia, saying, and I got so excited. They were playing Miami years ago, and the Rock goes, "West Virginia, those candy asses. The Hurricanes are going to lay the smackdown on those hillbilly rootin' tootin' candy asses." I was like, "Whoa, the Rock's going to whoop our butts." Oh, I'm so excited. Wait a second. That's not good. No, I don't. Curtis, I don't think they're going to play him. I don't know. I don't think they will.
Curtis, you got man. That's the question. I'm hearing mixed stuff.
And that's unfortunate because this kid could have went and draft. Now he's probably going to go undrafted. It's just unfortunate.
I have a hard time believing because I agree with you, Shane. He could have gotten drafted last year. If he doesn't play, if there's that is just so wrong, and it would be all the NCAA's doing.
Yeah,
Because we would love to have him, and it seemed like we were going to have him. So
he could change. We talked about this on the show. He's the difference of maybe a 3-point swing, 7-point swing. I mean, in a whole season, that's the difference of maybe a win. I mean, that could be eight. That and when you talk when bowl selection, that's difference of maybe $1.5 million if you're going to one bowl versus another bowl, because that's about where West Virginia's been the past couple of years, like right on the fringe of being in a decent bowl. It's like always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I'm hoping Mountaineers. I'm still hoping for 9 wins. Wish in one hand, what do they say? Poop in another and clap. But no, seriously, guys, Mountaineer fans, it's that time. Blue lot's going to get a little bit rowdy. Light blue lot, pink lot, whatever color lot you're in, you're about ready to have a great time because 2:00 is kickoff. So 8:00, that's the time to dust off your red Solo cup, do your stretches, drink your pickle juice, take your Flintstone vitamins, your gummies, your chewables, whatever you're taking, and get ready because the season's going to start and you're going to need it because Rich Rod's back in town and beer pong will not be the same in Morgantown for all you young'uns that have just come into the Thunderdome. If you don't know what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. So I don't know. Yeah, that's right, Coop. All you got to say is beat Pitt. So, Eric, do you have anything for the chat?
I just want to say thank you, West Virginia Live community. You make this show exactly what it is so much better. Yeah. And we want to see you here again next time.
That's right. So with that, we'll say good night, and we'll see you out with a little bit of West Virginia patriotism. So you know what, guys? Let's go Mountaineers.